Welcome guys. We're going to be going over a video I made on landings on X-Plane 12, which I would definitely recommend if you're going to practice. If you're going to use simulations as training. You want X-Plane for training, actual training, because that's how a plane is going to move. It's going to react in this manner. It simulates wind in different directions. Let's say wind in front of you, wind to the side of you, and how a plane would react in response to that, the way it would move. Now, the alternative, you might find fancier or prettier graphics, but this one that I also use, you should definitely have as a recreational option, not something as a training tool. For a training tool, you definitely want to explain, because this is how a plane moves, how it ascends, how it descends. Okay, well, the alternative, well, you got something to look at while playing games, but that's how you should look at it. It's recreational, unlike this one. Now, what I'm using here isn't a full-on peripheral. I got no yoke. What I'm using is an Xbox remote, which only leaves out one missing component, which is sensitivity on the buttons. Now, where you would find sensitivity is the triggers, but the triggers are mapped already to the surfaces, the flight control surfaces, which are essential. So let's say left trigger, right trigger, those are your rudders. The other ones with sensitivity are going to be the sticks. But the right stick is reserved for view for the camera. The left stick is going to be very important stuff. It's going to be flight control surfaces. It's going to be ailerons and elevator. Ailerons and elevator for the left stick, and those are your four sensitive surfaces on an Xbox remote already mapped, which doesn't leave room for brakes. So for brakes, you're going to notice in this video that the plane kind of jitters around after rolling around in the runway a little bit after landing. So here we can start getting a sight of Pappies. So we have 4 white, 3 white now. We're too high for sure. But back to what I was talking about before I lose my train of thought. You're gonna see the plane kind of jitter around a little bit because the brakes don't have sensitivity. I couldn't just pull on a trigger to apply brakes slowly. Pull the trigger a little further to apply brakes a little more. What the room that was left to map buttons and key functions was on or off. Brakes on, brakes off. There's no sensitivity to it. There was no more room left on the surfaces on an Xbox remote that do have sensitivity, like the triggers and the sticks. Those are all mapped to essential functions. Brakes are essential, but they only get a button that is either pressed or not pressed, and it's on or off. There's no sensitivity for it. Here we are at a good approach. 2 red, 2 white. We want to keep that, but we lose a little bit of altitude. We got 3 red. That's too low. I'm going to go ahead and land in the 2 white lines right there, right in front of those, which is the target, but you definitely want to be slightly higher. Definitely a butter landing. We didn't hear any thump sound, which is what you would hear in X-Plane 12 specifically. You would hear a... We didn't get any of that. Butter landing, smooth. Let's go ahead over to, let's see, Nepal, near Mount Everest. Let's see, let's set the brake here. Let's go neutral. It's going to be Tenzing Hillary. So Tenzing Hillary, it's an infamous airport. It's considered one of the most dangerous in the world. It's famous for being a really short runway at like 9,300 feet above sea level, and it is in those Nepalese mountains. where you can find Mount Everest. So these are the tallest mountains in the world. And when we're gonna land, you can't even see it here. You need to know which general direction to look at. If I were to ask you, where's my runway? Can you find it? Where's my landing strip? You would need to know beforehand. And you would need to know your altitude because everything just kind of looks the same. And the runway is going to camouflage. It's gray also, along with the mountains. But here it is. Right now. Right now. It's got an odd design too. At the end of this runway, you just get a wall. You have a wall. Cement wall, brick wall, whatever it's made out of. If you're going too fast, you're going to crash into that. I like to think that up here is Mount Everest. Maybe it's this one, the tallest peak right there in the background. It's definitely in this vicinity. People start to climb to it here. Get a jump start to 9,000 feet and climb the rest of the way from here. Get to the peak of the Mount Everest from Tenzing. Let's listen for the thump. No thump. That is about a landing. Get some helicopter pads up here. It seems to be the only way to get transports. Only way to get supplies. I don't think you can make roads up here. These things are 9,000 feet up. And those mountains aren't so hospitable. This is a loading and unloading area. We're going to do a 180 here. But, what a place. 9,000 up. Tiny little airport. I guess it would have to be. It's on the edge of a mountain. Also, what makes this airport really dangerous is the takeoffs, not just the landings and the wall at the end. For the landing, you can take advantage of the upward slope to slow you down. And for the takeoffs, there's just no room for error. You gotta do it right. You can't just bail and exit, head into the taxiway, return, or just do a 180 and return, followed by another 180 to line up again. It is, if you screw up, you're gonna fall off the mountain. At the end of this runway is just cliffs downwards, 9,000 feet down. This is what I mean by the brakes. There's no sensitivity, so it's just stiff. It's yes, no, on, off, brakes, set, brakes, not set. No sensitivity to apply gently or strongly. How you need them is not an option, it's just on or off. So here we are lined up in the beautiful mountains. I think right there, I like to think that's the peak, Mount Everest. I'm not sure if it is. Right under that cloud. Wow, that shading effect. Keep in mind I got low to mid settings here, so I can just get good frame rates while recording video and audio. Here we are. Well, let's do full throttle actually. Let's line up, I forgot. That might have been fatal. Let's see, flaps on, trim needs a little bit of work. Let's get the full throttle going. There's the trim set, everything else is go. Point of flaps and releasing the brakes. Keep in mind how short this runway is. We've only been running a couple of seconds, and we got the end of the runway in sight right there. There it is. Should you fail that lift, that's just 9,000 straight down. Not straight down, but 9,000 down. Yes, we are immediately 300 feet above ground, so let's clean the airplane. Flaps up. We'll get to that landing and navigation. Landing and taxi. Lights. But something important here. It's also considered difficult here because of the mountains. They are identical. They just look alike and you can get lost. Let's get some quality up here. The shadows look a little pixelated or squarish. Sharp edges. You can see those settings. Those are pretty nuked down. Very low settings. So you can expect more from the graphics, especially with a better PC. Mine's only a 3050 i5-16 RAM laptop. So you got a good setup for a desktop, you can expect a hell of a lot more. You can see those shadows right there, they're still sharp. Let's go medium. Alright, let's give that a couple minutes, let's see if it does anything. It should be more instantaneous. So, as a student pilot, I never really needed a peripheral. You don't need a full-on yoke and pedals. You can get good training from just an Xbox remote, and I'm pretty sure some militaries around the world actually use Xbox remotes for operating drones. Sensitivity triggers are just enough. You need one more though. It'll be difficult to fit in a device shaped for 2 hands. Limited space. Something with sensitivity like the triggers or the joysticks. Definitely don't do this in Tenzing if you haven't done it before. And for flying in these areas, you would need a special license, a Nepalese license. These mountains will kill you. It's hard to tell if you're ascending or descending because everything's just kind of identical and always off in the distance, always in the background. Not so immediately in sight or out of sight. There's our runway. We got a 2,000 RPM for our slow approach. For our approach settings. Slow down. Let's lower down a little bit. We're going to chase somewhere around 9,300. We're at 9,005. We're in the wide arc for the nut, so let's get 1 point of flaps. I never turned off landing and taxi. Alright, we don't want to be fast. We don't be slow either, otherwise we're going to stall. Let's listen for a thump. No thump. That is butter. Butter landing and I forgot the name, the stall warning. Those are the stall warning sounds. If you're not familiar with that beep, that's the sound of your plane warning you. We're probably going to fall. But that is what you want. And that is a butter landing, otherwise you would have heard a thump. This in the background right here, I like to think that's my neighbor. Is that how I speak? I'm not sure though. Back to the loading and unloading passengers and cargo area. gotta be the main supply or the main way to transport goods outside of helicopters. Airplanes, you can probably get probably a little bit of a heavier load. These mountains, check out the shadows. They're not so sharp. They're not cornery, but the way they're moving is the next issue. They're like ticking in their motion. The motion isn't fluid. And at least with mid settings, they're not going to be sharp. And there it is, that ticking of the shadows. We don't have corners everywhere anymore. I wonder who would live up here. This is just immensely isolated. It could be primarily workers at the airport and families from there. Again, this is what I mean by the brakes. No sensitivity to them. Just on or off. Let's get set up. 1 point of flaps. Let's get that trim neutral. We want everything perfect. You get one chance. If it doesn't work, we're gonna fall. Everything's in working order. Got that rudder functioning. Let's get an example of the sensitivity here. Pressing the triggers slightly. Maybe you can kind of see the wall at the end here. If you're coming in too fast, you're just going to crash into that. And that's that peak that I like to think is Mount Everest. And let's go full throttle for the max settings approach. Maximum throttle approach, adjusting for the left-leaning tendency. You want to keep that center of runway. Not moving too much to gain speed a little quicker. We're going to reach that 65 knots on a Cessna 172. And we got some natural lift. We're at 65. Positive ascension. Positive ascension around 500 feet. Let's take out that flaps. Let's get flaps up, which I did it instinctively. And this is what I mean. You're just gonna fall off if you don't get everything right with the ascension in the first time. Oh, the ticking now is the issue for the shadows. This is tensing. Easy to lose yourself. You just have to know where things relatively are and judge by height, because your eyes will fool you. Let's go to this snowy place. The mountains remind me of the Halo Mountains. Really beautiful scenery here. Let's go ahead and test the graphics settings how high we can go while playing on a low-end laptop while recording video, while recording audio, and still getting good frame rates. But let's go ahead and do a startup from scratch. I don't like how it starts leaning upwards and how you need like some RPMs to get the plane leveled where the front touches the ground. Okay, mixture rich. Let's start priming. Let's prime it 3 times and leaving it open at around 1/4. Master on. Let's see, beacon on. Is this brake on? Is that on or off? I think that's off. Yes, off and on. All right. Clear. Close to 1,000 RPM. Let's check our instruments at 1,000. We got a perimeter charging, vacuum between 4 and 6, oil press, oil temp at green. Everything's good at 1,000. Let's go up to 1,700 for the. There it is. You see how the plane moves? For the air mixture. Now the front wheel's actually touching. That's how it should start. Very strange. But check out the mountains. Remind me of those Halo Mountains. Good looking place. I think it's a ski resort here. Alright. You really want to take your time adjusting this. There, mixture. Just pull until it no longer rises. RPM's no longer getting higher. A little less than that, somewhere around there. But take your time for this one, for sure. It's very dangerous for different reasons. Outside of the mountains not letting you know your positioning and giving you a good sense of ascension or descension based on your position of distant objects. You also have winds at different directions. So you could have some headwind right in front of you and some wind to the side. And it's going to do some weird stuff with the airplane. It's going to throw it around sometimes. So you definitely want everything in order. Check the magneto, they're good. Landing, taxi, navigation. The avionics and the radios should automatically set to their frequency. With the magneto check, you want a deviation of no more than around 100 RPMs. So both left and right, we're good. We're going to want everything at 90. So we're more at 96 right now. Keep it at 90. Let's see where we are here. The second one is inaccurate, of course. Can imagine starting in the distance like a warthog. Okay, we are 09er. So you see that second one that says we're pointing north is inaccurate because we're a little too close to the airport. Let's get this to 90. Let's go to 96 where the screen says we actually are. Let's try to find our no control on this frequency. Our radio here, if it does have one, because it was supposed to auto-tune to these frequencies. Huh. Maybe because of the session I started with the desert and Nepal locations. Maybe this is the desert and Nepal locations. Can't find what radio tower it would be. If you're gonna fly here, you obviously would know, but can't know memorize every airport in the world. We've already gone to like 3 different countries. One was Mexico, one was, where is Nepal? Where is Mount Everest? Well, whole other country there, and this one's going to be Colorado, US, I believe. Let's get my call up to match. November 172 Sierra Papa, or something original. November Fox, look how that sounds. Alpha 172 November Fox. That's the name of this airplane now. Irrelevant if I can even find a radio tower. I'm gonna have to give up on that. Figure it out later. It looks like it's in order. Let's Go, max power takeoff. I'm gonna hover over my light switches to clear the plane when above 300 feet while hiding the yoke. Alright, let's see, adjusting for the left-leaning tendency. See how the rudder moved a little bit? That's what you want. Rudder to the right, you move to the right. We got a downward slope here. The thing about this one that it's a super long runway. It's a good location for the strip. Must be a beautiful sight to live here. Have those mountains in the back. We have our 65 for our liftoff, 65 knots for positive ascension at 500 feet. We're going to maintain that. And once we're 300 above above ground, then let's lean to the left a little, keeping closer to the runway, above the runway. Lost my train of thought there. Feet, 300 feet, above 300 feet, you turn off your light switches, your taxi light switch and your landing light switch. And you also go neutral on your flaps. I have 10 degrees, so let's start doing all that. Should be 300 above by now. This ravine area seems the most logical space to fly. Never flown here, but it seems like common sense. This is where you would fly over. Gives you enough comfortable space to ascend or descend. Descend. Let's test the graphics here. Get those trees a little prettier. It's already on high, but let's see max. I think we can afford a max with a little bit of extra space. Anything else interesting? That might not be so performance intensive. Let's give that a go. Make it a little more realistic in the distance. Let's see here. It's loading, it's not bad already if with enough distance. From this view, it's already a little more realistic. The trees are good, just need to up my settings on the mountains themselves, the background themselves. Maybe make the vegetation 3D, but I'll do that while I'm recording. Good frames, good performance. You can tell how it would be hard. Almost forgot those lights. How it would be hard to tell if you're ascending or descending. Since those mountains don't really help, they're just kind of always there. You'll be able to tell more easily from the roads. You're getting lower or higher. Your instruments are screwing it. It's a real issue, a real type of blindness. Being able to tell how your plane is moving based on your position and how the objects around you distort, whether they're getting closer or further. beautiful place here too. The location, in the middle of the mountains. Seems like it would be inspiring to just go outside, look up, and wow, that thing is huge. The plane is definitely flying very strangely here. Let's avoid that mountain. This runway is so long, you'll probably land a heavy plane. You're getting advantage of that upward slope. It seems to be suited, adequate for a fat boy. Runway inside. I think I see some pabbies too. If you want to descend at close to 500 feet, you might not be able to be low enough before reaching the airport and start descending, getting our slow approach speed by here. So that's 2,000 RPM, and we're going to chase a wide arc on the knots to get 1 point of flaps. What a nice view. Oh, we're descending a little too much. I want 500. But that might not be enough. It really didn't look like I ascended that much, but it just goes to show that same effect. Yeah, we're gonna be too high. I'm gonna need to do a dip. Definitely don't do dips, especially close to the runways. The plane is definitely difficult to control here. Looks like it's not moving too much, but doesn't take a lot to kind of knock it around. It's difficult. Let's start descending a lot more now, but definitely don't want more than 1,000 feet. A little difficult to keep it pointed where I want it to be pointed. A lot of winds you're combating to neutralize your plane here. Definitely don't want to go any slower. Just gonna have to fly a little too high. Maybe 2 points of flaps will help me. Definitely don't need 3. We have all this runway. We can use all this runway. Oh, these winds are so weird. Fight them. Alright, here we go. And butter. No thump. Here we are. Didn't even need the advantage of the upward slope to start slowing down, but it also goes to show that it can handle way bigger planes. Unlike Tenzing. Imagine a jumbo's gonna land there. Kinda damage would that even be? Well, we made it. All three butter, all 3 in a row. Hope you guys enjoy the commentating on the stuff that I was doing at the time. and explained and hopefully understood some of it. Let me know if you have any questions on the terminology, and hopefully I can help you with it. And hope you guys enjoyed this, and hope to see you in the next one. Take care.